Before unveiling the next Arizona State Hall of Fame inductee, let's step back and meet the past inductees. In the order that they were inducted, they are
Gilbert Aragon starts his story in Tucson, Arizona as the last of 4 children born to Ruth and Gilbert Aragon on June 2, 1942. He was the baby of the family and little brother to Elma, Millie, and Rosie. His family history is storied and included a great-grandfather on his mother's side who lived to be 114 years old after raising 10 kids and was a field irrigation manager who dealt with the Arizona Apache. The grandfather on his dad's side homesteaded a 5-acre cattle ranch in Oro Valley, Arizona, on which all 4 brothers worked, including his father. There were many accomplishments of the 4 hardworking brothers. Gil tells the story of the oldest, who was a Southwest champion prizefighter in Oro Valley, Arizona, which took him to many places in the state and the Southwest. Hard work and competition seemed to start early in this family. Gil, at 19 years old, started making a living in the cement industry after having worked and been around it since a very young age. In 1969, he met Lou Slonson. She and her 3 roomies were attending Arizona State University. It was their senior year and they had just been evicted from their residence. Something about having way too much fun. She and her roommates finally found a place to live, and after meeting 2 young men next door, Lou saw a ball player enter the apartment of the guys that they had met. She was always attracted to ball players. So, guess what she did? The creative person that we all know her to be, she went over to borrow a cup of sugar.
Hey! Can I borrow a cup of sugar?
Later in the evening, the group were all playing a game and Lou started bragging that she could beat Gil at pool and drink him under the table. Gil says, didn't happen, and that she was an easy drunk and he was a far superior drinker. As they continued dating, Gil told Lou that he had 2 kids. She thought she was getting the brush off and told him she also had 2 kids, which she did not, and showed him a picture of her 2 nieces. As it turned out, Gil was separated and had the custody of his 2 daughters. This earned Lou's respect. She was impressed that a man of that era was responsible enough to work hard and raise his daughters, even though separated. Lou and Gil married in 1971 and she stepped into the role of mother of 2 girls, Joyce and Terry. They eventually had 2 girls of their own, Rosie and Nora. A blended family before blended families were the norm. Lou will tell you that Joyce and Terry were never considered stepchildren. The 4 girls were raised as sisters and one family unit. Before Shuffleboard, Gil showed his competitive spirit as a fast-pitch softball pitcher. He played from 14 to 44 years old.
The first thing I remember is the game that I love. A man on a diamond with a golden glove.
Not necessarily a hard thrower, but he could control his pitches. He could size up a batter by the way he stood and the way he held the bat. Knowing how to control their hitting is what made him great. Striking out batters was not his main goal, per se, but he did pitch 2 no-hitters when he was a young pitcher of 18 or 19 years old. He earned the nickname of Mr. Class from the other players. You see, if there were errors or bad calls, he never reacted or showed his emotions. He just figured out what he had to do to pitch out of the situation.
And let it go by. Swing hard and aim for the stands.
The name Doc also was a moniker given to him, because he could carve up a plate inside and outside, like a surgeon. Bobby Lewis called him the smartest pitcher he ever saw. He was indeed recognized for these talents, because he is a 4-time Hall of Famer for his success in fast-pitch softball. Gil received the Arizona Hispanic Sports Hall of Fame, the International Congress Hall of Fame, the Arizona Softball Foundation Hall of Fame, and the Texas Latino Fast Pitch Hall of Fame. Absolutely amazing, that's all one can say.
Coming right down the middle. Don't stand.
The Latino Baseball History Project sends congratulations and well wishes on this very special day.
Thank God for your fans. Thank God for your fans.
Speaking of Bobby Lewis, our very first Arizona Shuffleboard Hall of Famer, let me tell you a little story told to me by Gil. Somewhere in 1968, Gil was at a bar called the Oxbow where he met Al Salazar, our second Arizona Hall of Famer, and yep, the bar was owned by Alice Arredondo, another Arizona Hall of Famer. On this particular night, Bobby approached Gil, and after some small talk, Bobby told him, "I am here because of you. I want you on my fast-pitch softball team. We have hitters, but we need a great pitcher." Gil says, "No, I work for the team I play for and I'd have to quit my job." Okay, so the story goes, Bobby said that he noticed Gil played a little shuffleboard. Gil says, "Yeah, a little, but nobody can beat that college kid." Bobby said, "I can." Gil says, "If you can beat him, I'll play on your team." Bobby beat him 15-2. Gil had to quit his job, and the rest of his friendship and story is history. Gil quickly became more competitive in shuffleboard. He followed Bobby around for get-togethers at a place on Van Buren in Phoenix called Angelo's. He met other players, such as Laurie Tafoya, you guessed it, another Arizona Hall of Famer. Eventually, after Bobby Lewis quit the post office and bought all the boards he could, the game caught on fire, with leagues at several Valley bars. Gil played in a lot of doubles leagues as a partner to Bobby and eventually got involved in tournaments locally and nationally. He downplays his abilities and says, "I had good games, but I didn't play consistently." I say his record speaks for itself, and you can't count him out if he is in the room, because he has that winning mentality. He agrees that the game is a very mental game, like the pitching was for him. I know that with some of Gil's medical issues, he has consistently tried to perfect new shots.
As it seems, the heart of me.
Mr. Gil Aragon, one of my first mentors in the game. What you got to understand about Gil, to this day, with his analytical mind, he has always tried to reinvent the way to shoot. New shots and new ways to hold the puck. In fact, the conversation we had that stuck with me the most was when he told me never to forget about the puck. Caress it like a woman. Don't squeeze it, you just gotta love it. I took that advice in the way I hold and released the weight. He always calls me son, but I'm still waiting for my first car from you, Dad. Congratulations, Gil.
He has also traveled from his different homes in our state, such as Tacna, Tucson, and his current home in Oracle Valley to participate as much as possible, getting together, draws, leagues, and tournaments that mostly happened here in the Valley of the Sun. He has the competitive spirit, even now. He still goes to national tournaments and is in the money. He has participated in the game for over 54 years. For me, one thing that stands out about Gil is his absolute willingness to observe new and old players and help them with a shot.
Tim Manley writes, Gilly, I have to admit when I first met you, I thought you were crazy and I was right. I've always enjoyed hearing your stories. You're a great player, you love to teach the game and you've been a great mentor to me, including myself. Thank you for being a friend and being honest with me always, as I have tried to be with you. Congratulations, you deserve it.
His observation leads to a conversation and maybe a lesson or two. He really loves to teach and relates a story about his coaching of a girls' softball team. He says you need patience. You need to pick up on their personalities and coach accordingly so they can be on your side and be able to listen. So, if he approaches you about a strategy or a shot, you can see it's worth its weight in gold.
From Harry and Kathy Ambrosat, an old pro plays with passion and aggression. Gil is truly an old pro. Congratulations on your induction.
He'll tell you his most memorable moments in the game or what he calls his personal best. When he beats a good player once and he knows he probably can't beat him 2 out of 3. But he had a great game where he took control and won a game from a much better player and could learn from it. He tells of a team event at the Southwest Open on Al Salazar's team where he lagged 2 fours. And a trip to Visalia where he was invited by AZ Turnbow to play Larry Newell and Steve Floyd from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. for $100 a game on their own table. Great moments. He says he told John McDermott, a player he admires for his knowledge and history in our game, if you can control your weight, you can control the game. Sound familiar? Who did he admire? There were many, as he studied a lot of them, but one who stands out is Darrell Nelson, for his technique and his demeanor. Another, Mr. Class, says Gil. And his final thought about Shuffleboard is all the wonderful people he has met, friendships cultivated, and the great times that were had. I tend to agree, Mr. Aragon.
So many years ago, I would come to league night to drive my husband so he could play and drink. I fell in love with the game. When women were finally allowed to play, you were always in support of us, and I so appreciated that. You taught me so much about the wild, weird, wonderful world of table shuffleboard. You always made sure that I understood what you were teaching me and always encouraged me to use the techniques you taught me. I was always afraid I would screw it up. More important than your amazing shuffleboard knowledge, your kindness to everyone was beautiful and unending. So proud to call you friend for all of these 40+ or minus years. Congratulations on your induction to the Arizona Shuffleboard Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Gil Aragon, for accepting this nomination as our 10th inductee into the Arizona Shuffleboard Hall of Fame. It has been my absolute pleasure to be your friend for these many decades, to have played with and against you, and have gotten a few lessons from you. I'm sorry if I wasn't a good student. To top it all off, you and Lou have been my friends and invited me to your home, and I've always felt the hospitality and friendship from you both. Whether I brought my grandkids or whether I came with friends, I've always appreciated it. You are the very epitome of Arizona shuffleboard history. And I so hope that some of the newer players in Arizona will get to know you just a little bit better by watching the video, reading the testimony, and getting to talk to you after their ceremony. So go out today, get a few hugs, get a few kisses, tell some more stories, and maybe have a dance or two, because you deserve it, Gil. I love you very much, my very good longtime friend. If you know, you know. Congratulations, Gil.